They don't see that it was clearly listed on the website. They think it's rude to make them wait in line. They can't believe you won't be open this Sunday. They think you're the crazy one. They're not normal customers, oh no. They are. The Patronarchy.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to a new episode of The Patronarchy. We're open for business and ready to talk about the customers that didn't want good service. They wanted good servitude. Hi, everybody. I'm Vincent, once again, hosting this new episode where we can all share the tales of the customers we wish we could forget, but we probably never will. And this time, I've got my good friend, Brian Crawford, on, who was technically, in a way, the guy that got me into podcasting many years back, when I think about it. But, Brian, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, this is going to be a story of a retail anti-hero, and at the end of this podcast, I will never be able to be hired in customer service again.
Well, you're doing it for the people.
That's right.
We can all have a fun time, you know, get a little cathartic, because that's the best part about the show. We can all, I think just about anybody can relate to this. I mean, unless you were like unless you're one of those people that's born into wealth and you've never had to work like a in a service industry or anything like that. I think that's the best part about this show. Is the relatability factor.
And you can always tell who those people are when they walk through the store.
Exactly. Like, your hands are so smooth. Like,
Yeah.
But anyway, Brian, so I've known you for years. Is there tell the people a little bit about yourself? Well, you know, anything you want to promote or anything like that?
Yeah, I've been working in new media for quite a while, ever since I've moved to Pittsburgh. Streaming radio, podcasting. I've started doing blogging now a little bit with my new project, which is pghmuseums.org. It's an information hub of museums and galleries. So it's like a blog. We do podcasts, things like that. But what's really cool is we have a directory where you can discover new museums and galleries across the region. There's over 400 listings. And it's just a great resource to find new things to do and explore the city and discover things you've never would have thought of before.
Nice, man. Yeah. I think you post every once in a while with about the PGH Museum. So yeah, if you guys are interested in that kind of stuff, if you live in the Pittsburgh area, or maybe you're just a museum nut, you know, I'll leave links to Brian's blog and all his social media links down in the description. You can check it out all there. All right. But I don't like to waste too much time. That's the way I am. So, Brian, if you're ready, please tell us about your encounters with the Patronarchy.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, I guess that there's a story. It's not so much about customers. However, it kind of explains my life in retail.
Okay.
And it goes back to the first time I was ever drunk.
Okay.
And I was at this party. And my friend Randy made this jungle juice, and he makes this jungle juice. It's as potent as can be, but you can't taste the drop of alcohol in it.
Oh.
And I had never been drunk before. So I don't know what I'm doing. And this just tastes like Kool-Aid. I think I had like maybe 20 glasses of this jungle juice. I blacked out drunk. I woke up the next day, had to go to work. I had never been drunk before, so I didn't realize what was going on necessarily. I was still knowing now what I know about years and years and years of experience. I now know that I was drunk at the time, but I woke up drunk the next day because I was so crazy. And I'm driving down this super windy road, wasted, and I'm like swerving all over the place. I make it to work. And I'm so sick, I think I had alcohol poisoning. I'm just throwing up on instant. Like, there's no hold it and run to the restroom. It's just coming out. And all I hear all day is, over the loudspeaker, 01, please report to aisle whatever for vomit cleanup. 01, please report to aisle whatever. And 01 at that store is like the grunt of the people who has to do all the jobs no one else wants to do. So then I hear my manager, the store manager, page me to go to the jewelry department. And I'm thinking, oh no, they know. They know I'm here wasted. And I go there and I see my assistant store manager, my direct manager there as well. And I'm thinking, I'm screwed. I'm caught. And the store manager speaks to me and he says, Brian, we want to give you a raise. And I looked at him and I breathed slowly to try to stop myself from getting to a point, too excited. I don't want to vomit again. Right. And I just said, thank you. I have to go. And I walked away. And it's just like my experience in retail and dealing with customers. I was so good at my job. And for 99% of the customers out there, I was great. But if there was someone who was disrespectful for me, I gave it back, sometimes tenfold. And despite that, I did it in a way where I still was able to succeed. So it's kind of like going into work completely wasted. I was so good at my job that even if they did catch me, I probably wouldn't have been reprimanded at all because...
You had enough clout at that point.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So I just always... I don't know. I just didn't deal with the BS. And... I don't know. When I was a supervisor at I don't want to say the name because you told me not to. It's hard because it just rolls off your tongue.
For anyone who's a first time listener, I tell all my guests, and I've said this before, so some of you guys already know. I tell all my guests, do not give the name of the business because I don't know how legal stuff works. Yeah. So I don't want to get risk of somebody like hitting me up and be like, "Oh, your podcast slandered our business." So. We try to keep things a little generic and vague sometimes, but not too much to distort the story. But
yes, so when I worked at Brand X store, I was a front-end supervisor, and this is like a thing that I would do. If somebody came in and they were nice, like customer service desk, returning something, I would do whatever I could to accommodate them. I would try to break the rules, call the manager, oh, come on, just do it. Somebody comes in and they're a jerk, I just be like, that's the policy. There's nothing we can do. Right. And they'd get so angry. And just because I'm such a jerk, they'd have one foot out the door and I'd yell, hey, they'd turn around, have a pleasant day. Just to, drive it in at the end.
A little passive aggressive, huh?
Yeah, I just was always, I don't know, that job was.
That links up for what I know of you, man. I've never known you to be the type to put up with anyone's bullcrap, especially when you're confident when you're doing something. That's just not your nature. I'm sure points in your life that might have gotten you in trouble, but for the most part, I'm assuming that served you pretty well. And yeah, it could just depend. Like you said, like you were good enough at your job where you were valued enough, or your manager could let things slide, or at least have your back, which is something you always hope your boss does. Me and my current job, which I'm not going to get into, but I can be a little more, I don't want to say authoritative with customers, but I'll say stern. I can be a lot more stern with customers than I have at previous jobs because of the nature of my current job.
And isn't that empowering? Isn't that wonderful?
It's like I really like stuff I would want to say at previous jobs, right? And now, with my current position, which once again I don't want to say because I'm supposed to be getting a raise soon, and I don't want to do that.
Nice.
It's just good to be able to I'm not mean. I'm still professional. I never cuss at anybody, right? Never do that. I'll cuss after they leave. I'll be like, that's fucker or something like that. But just be able to tell people like, no, this is how it is. You're being disruptive, blah, 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 get out of here, blah, blah. It is somewhat empowering, there's still people above me and I still try to give people a fair shake. I still walk up. I try to be chill and all that stuff. But especially if somebody crosses a line with one of my coworkers, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm very loyal, especially with my coworkers. I have their back, they have my back. But if you start getting me in their face, and I'm gonna shoot past chill and go straight into like, okay, you gotta go, you gotta get the hell, you gotta get out of here. You're causing a ruckus. You're being disruptive. You're doing this, that. Get the hell out of here. I don't know if I'll be in this job forever. I'm definitely gonna be in it for a while, but yeah, man. Sometimes you just have to get back in the customer's face and as professional as you can, let them know what's what.
Yeah. And
once again, I just want to state, as I've said before in previous episodes, this is not all customers. This is just for the ones that are being jerks. This is, not every customer is part of the patronarchy, as the term I've coined. Some of them are good people. I literally had customers at a previous job where, like, one called me over. It was a regular called me over. I thought they were going to had a complaint. And they gave me some M&Ms. It was great. It was like this one guy. It was like, yeah. So I was like, it's awesome. But anyway, enough of that. Let's continue on with you, man. What kind of stories we got here?
Yeah, well, you were talking about in your current position, you could be a little sterner, and it made me think that you'll never be able to go back to regular, like, retail again or anything like that.
I mean...
And I know this from experience.
It'd be hard.
Because, yeah, so I worked for a rent-to-own company, and it was similar in that regard where you could be sterner. You actually had to be sterner because you would rent items out. Yeah. People would make payments. They would pay to own it. And if they didn't pay after a certain point, you would go and try to repossess the items. So I did sales, collection calls, and repossessions. And you definitely had to get sterner with people. You could say things that you typically would never be able to say in a traditional retail setting, trying to get people to pay. And then you just have these great stories from the repossessions. And I have a few of those that are just insane.
Hit me with the man. Hit me.
There was one time, first off, repossessions are not generally what people think. People think of repo wars and things like that.
I was thinking about that reality show. I remember that being a thing,
Yeah, there was only one time I experienced something like that, and that was because the person I was working with was getting into someone else's face, and it caused this big issue. But 99.9% of the time, you don't run into issues at all. You basically catch people by surprise, and once you meet with them, once you have that communication, you almost always get your stuff back. So what they will do is they'll hide in their place and pretend they're not home because they know it's you.
Like how I would do when the Jehovah's Witness shows up.
Exactly. Very similar. So the idea is if you're able to get them to answer the door, then you generally get your stuff back. There was one time I didn't, and I'll tell you that story. But before that, there was a story where somebody in sales had rented a laptop to someone who lived in Blacklick, PA. And
I've never even heard of Blacklick.
I didn't even hear of Blacklick, and this is back when I lived out in Westmoreland County. The store was in Greensburg, and Blacklick was still an hour away, I think. They didn't do any of the verifications on this customer, so they were planning to just steal it. They rented it the very first day, never made a payment. So finally, it was hard to what we would call runs, where you would just go out and repossess, like go out and try to get people to give you their stuff back. It was hard to get to Blacklick because it was so far away. So one day I finally had the chance to go out there, and I park the truck. It's a box truck. I go and I knock on the door. No one's there. Clearly no one's there. So I'm leaving, and I hear from the neighbor. All of a sudden, as I'm walking, I hear, psst. I look over, and the neighbor motions me over.
This is getting juicy.
Yeah, the neighbor says, "Are you looking for so-and-so?" And I said, "Yeah, my name's Brian. I'm here with blah, blah, blah. And I need to talk to your neighbor." He said, "Right around 4 o'clock, their daughter gets home from school. They have to be here to get her off the bus."
Ooh.
He said, "Get those bastards." So this is why you don't get especially if you're not best with your finances and you're doing a rent-to-own thing, don't get angry. Don't get the neighbors angry at you. No. So I parked the box truck like around the block out of sight, and I'm literally hiding in the bushes next to their property. Yeah, looking, waiting for the school bus to come. Well, I see these people pull up, and I take off, and I catch them before they go into the house. And of course, they try to delay. Well, I got to reformat the computer and put it back to factory settings. I said, "Go ahead, I've got all day."
Oh, you bastard.
So,
I love it.
Yeah, so I got that computer back.
Nice.
The other big issue, and this is like another, not quite on the level of repo wars, but well, before that, you have to do all sorts of things. You're like a detective as a repo person. So you get into a secure building, for instance, and where you have to click a button to get buzzed in or to have somebody come down. Well, one big trick is you don't click your customer's button, you click someone else's button. Then they walk down the steps, they open the door, and you said, "Oh, you know what? I hit the wrong button," and then you just walk in with them. So then you knock on the door from the inside, you're already in. They think it's someone else in the building. So they don't know you're working with the rental company, and they open the door. There's all sorts of things you do.
That is like movie slick. That is like the kind of stuff you see in movies and TV
stuff
shows.
You got to do.
That is fun. Oh, that's fun, man. I wish I could. Oh, God. Now, like, I'm not saying I'm going to quit my job, but I'm sure there's days that it sucked, but it kind of sounds a little fun.
Oh, the repo parts were fun. The rest of the job was horrible, especially the collection calls. But this one person, it was down in Greensburg, and I'm going to incriminate myself here. Technically, the law is you're supposed to maybe, I think, like only 3 knocks or whatever, and if they don't respond, you're supposed to leave. Nobody in the industry does that because you'll never get your stuff back. So I'm there. I knocked. Nobody answered, but I could hear multiple kids, and when you're in the business, you learn that sometimes people leave a kid home alone, but they never leave multiple kids home alone. So I know there's someone there. So I just start pounding. And I'm pounding on this door for like at least 10, 15 minutes straight. Like hard pounding, not knocking, just pounding on this door. Finally, this guy whips open the door and he goes, who the F are you? Or whatever. And I just said, well, hi, my name's Brian and I'm with I'm looking to reach so-and-so. And it was his girlfriend, and he's like, well, she's not effing here. And I said, well, that's fine. I said, if you could have her give me a call, I need to hear back from her by 8 p.m. tonight. If I don't hear back from her, I'll be back tomorrow. And he goes, you better not be back tomorrow. If you're back tomorrow, there's going to be trouble. I said, well, that's fine. You're welcome to call the police. He said, I didn't say I was calling the police. I said there's going to be trouble. And I said, well, that's great. I said, now I'm calling the police because I view that as a threat. So I called the police and this lady, this woman comes, and while that's going on, I called the store to have somebody come meet me because they've got a washer and dryer and everything, a tablet. They had all sorts of stuff. Okay. So the lady's up there on the porch talking to him, and he said, well, I think it's disrespectful that he's slamming on the door. And she says, well, I think it's disrespectful that you don't pay your bills. So then she leads the charge into this place, and she repossesses the tablet upstairs while we're disconnecting the washer and dryer. Like joined the team. It was insane.
This neighbor?
No, the police officer.
Oh, the police officer. Yeah. Oh, God, I thought you meant like the police officer was showing up and somebody else. Oh, crap.
No, the police officer's on the porch telling him that she thinks it's disrespectful that he doesn't pay his bills. I got a little confused with that. And she leads the charge into the place, and she repossesses the tablet while we're disconnecting.
He had a collab with the police.
Yeah, it was insane. Well, this one store I worked for, it's another Brand X big box store. Gotcha. They handled loss prevention in such a way that was so different than anywhere else I worked. Because most places, they don't want customers to know that there's people stealing. So everything's very discreet, even when they catch the person. Well, this one store I worked at took the total opposite approach, and I just loved it. Because they would be following someone like any store does, and if they found out that they were stealing, they would stop the person and they would call every manager and supervisor in the store, and they would all congregate to one area and line up on each side and literally parade the person through the store until they got to the office and called the police. It was amazing.
Whoa!
It was like a public hanging, like in terms of like catching thieves. I loved it. It was,
damn. Oh, wow. That's a hell of a strategy.
Yeah.
Just like, I guess, just overwhelm the person and let them know, like, oh, you're cornered and stuff like that.
I think it was more just like letting everyone else know, don't steal here. Don't fuck with us. It was so great.
Oh my God. It's like, how badly do you want that fucking mixer?
Yeah.
Or like whatever the fuck they were stealing. Oh man. Wow. Damn.
There was a security room at one of the stores I worked at. It was a real old store. And they had put in security cameras to modernize, but they had these old security booths. I don't know if you've ever seen one in a store where it's up high, almost like in a rafter.
Oh, yeah, they got like the one-way mirror.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about. So you don't see many of them anymore, but...
Yeah, so this one was abandoned. In this one store I worked at, I was the manager or the supervisor of a toy section.
Okay.
And I would clean up the toys, and I would go up there and I'd see people. I'd watch people. And I'd see them messing up, and these kids would be throwing stuff, and I'd get like right in front of them, or like even a parent, I'd start rearranging in front of them as they're shopping to make them super uncomfortable until they'd leave and stop messing up my section.
Man, look at you, you're like a hawk, man. You
I know.
People. All right, how about we tell? You got one more story?
Oh yeah. Oh gosh.
Right. Yeah. Take a minute, because I know you came prepared.
I've got so many stories.
Yeah.
I think the one I will get into is two. One's a real quickie. I worked at one store. They returned basically anything. This guy came in with these nasty shoes, took the shoes off his feet, put them on the counter, and they took it back. That's a quick one. Okay. The other one is, you mentioned like some crazy people. This one was a situation where I actually had the race card thrown at me. And
like a toy race car?
No, like the actual, like, he's a racist.
Oh, race card.
Yeah,
I said race car. I was like, what the?
And it was a situation. We had these. Have you ever heard of a coupon thief?
Oh, no. What is it?
So what they do, there's different things people will do at the checkout to try to steal. They come in and they target new people. These people, they come in every day into the store, and they watch and they scan and they know who's been around, and they know who's brand new. And they'll get into the lines with the new people and try to bully and intimidate them to get things for free. So one thing that they'll do is they'll reach into bags and they'll be pulling stuff out of the bags, acting like they don't want it, as you've already rung it. And the idea is they'll, while you're confused, they'll try to put stuff into the bag that haven't been rung yet to try to get things for free. One time somebody did that with me, and I just calmly canceled the order, grabbed the bags, dumped them on the counter, and started ringing again. But at the one place we worked at when I was a front-end supervisor, we were told to keep a watch out for these coupon thieves. Okay. And there was one lady who always came while I was working, and she was one of those coupon thieves. And what they would do is they would come through with like a coupon that said buy one, get one free, and they would have one of the items. All right. Well, this should be free. And they would go again to newer people who weren't confident, and they come very confident because, you know, they're trying to bully these people. Yeah. And they would get new people to do some of this stuff, accept these fraudulent coupons because they were unsure, and they felt they didn't want to get in trouble in their work. They don't want to go to I'm going to go to your manager, the Karen effect, Exactly. So this one lady, she just happened to be black. There were multiple ones there, but she just always was on the shift that I was working. And I knew who she was. So anytime I'd see her get into a line, I'd walk over, I'd kick the cashier out, and I'd take over. No. Every once in a while, I'd throw her a bone and give her one. Well, after multiple times, she gets so angry. She knew, as soon as she saw me, she's like, she knew she wasn't getting away with it. Yeah. So she'd always be miserable with me, and I didn't care. No. So one day she said, I'm going to call corporate. And I said, please be my guest. So she did call corporate, and they wanted to talk to me, but we were busy up at the front end. And I said, my boss had radioed me and said they're there and want to talk to me. I said, I don't have time to talk to them. I said, we're busy up here. I got to take care of the customers. Right. So he answered the phone, and in talking about hoping a boss has your back, this is one of those situations where he did. Oh, awesome. And fantastic. He talked to corporate and said, no, he didn't do anything wrong. We've had these people coming through, and they're trying to steal. So corporate told her they weren't going to do anything. So she was angry. So then she called the store, wanted to speak to the manager. So in this store in particular, just to tell you just to go off on a real quick tangent, this store only will let you become an assistant store manager if you have a bachelor's degree. Okay. So you get a lot of people who've never worked a job in their life, and now they're running the store, and you as the employee making half the money have to teach them how to do very basic things.
That's a pain. Yeah, I've been there.
Well, this guy squeaked in before they put that rule in. So he actually worked from the ground up. So he knows what it's like to be the person working on the floor.
I love when they get promoted from within.
Yeah, and he was the only manager who actually knew anything. So he gets the phone, and this guy he's Hispanic himself. So he's not, this is back in Westmoreland County. So everybody, it's very very white.
Very a ton of Hispanic and Latino.
No, just all Caucasian. There's almost no diversity out in Westmoreland County, except for like a couple, couple neighborhoods. Outside of that, Westmoreland County is like, it's like the city out there. It's like there's
Marshmallowopolis up there.
Yeah. So I guess like my point is I was lucky that he's somebody who knew I wasn't racist, having worked with me. So she calls in and she is trying to get me in trouble with him, and then she tried to throw the race card out, saying, no, he only does it because I'm black, and this guy knew me, and he's like, no, yeah, it's not it at all. He didn't. I'm sure he didn't call her a thief, because that would have been, got him in trouble. But he was just like, no, it wasn't. He's not racist at all. And she told him, she said, well, maybe I'll just take my business elsewhere. And he told,
oh no,
yeah, that's what he told her. He said, well, maybe that's not such a bad idea.
Yeah, yes. Oh, I love it. Okay. You had two managers having your back. That's great. So you had your...
No, that was just one. It was the same guy.
Oh, same guy?
Yeah,
okay. All right, cool. So, but either which way,
like
I said, we've talked on previous episodes, talking about how so important it is when you're working in a place that, for one of the managers or the boss to have your back on stuff, because dealing with bad customers is enough, but if you've got a boss that backs down to people all the time, the misery just grows, what I mean? So that's great that your boss has your back. And it's unfortunate that the other thing, we don't really, this is not a podcast where we talk about social, political stuff.
Yeah.
But, this does come up in that kind of, there is, I've said before in the show, but because I don't think it's a controversial statement, I think racism still is in America.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's really horrible, when people try to, use that as, an advantage when it's not an actual situation. You were just calling a person out on them trying to do a scam. It's unfortunate because, the worst example, of course, was in recent history, it's like the Jesse Smollett thing where he faked.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but, that's such a bummer because there's real people that have been, faced that kind of injustice where because of the color of their skin, and then somebody tries to use it for a fucking coupon. Come on.
Well, what sucks too is as you said, there is serious racial discrimination in this country, and when things like that happen, that's the type of stuff that the people who are the haters will use to try to justify their argument that it doesn't exist. And that's disappointing because there's no validity in their statements, but they'll use little situations like that as examples.
Yeah. That reminds me, previous episode we had Chris on. Mm-hmm. And Chris shows this one joke. If you guys never heard my buddy Chris Mohan, stand-up comedian who likes to talk about social political stuff in his stand-up. He has this one joke about when he went on his honeymoon to India, and he's originally from India. Him and his family immigrated here when he was 7, I think. Mm-hmm. Chris, if you're listening or watching, let me know if I got that age right. But so he has this joke about when he's go back to India, how hot it is, because he's like, when you go to India, the sun is right there, and he has his hand in front of his face, where the sun is. And he told that joke at one of his shows one time. And there was another Indian guy in the crowd, young guy, early 20s, early mid-20s. And apparently the guy was he got visibly upset at the joke for some reason. And he confronted Chris after. He's like, what you said was racist. And he was just like, what did I say was racist? And he was talking about how hot it is in India. And the guy was just Chris was like, what are you talking about? You're Indian. Have you never been to India? Do you know how fucking hot it is there?
Also, what does the sun have to do with...
Yeah, there's a plenty of stuff. Be like
saying it's cold in Antarctica, and that's now you're shaming indigenous people. Not Antarctica, Alaska. Yeah,
Alaska. Yeah, but it's what the hell? Of all the things you can call racist, it's the natural weather in a certain part of the world. There's plenty of other things you can say about Indian people that make fun of them. You got the crap that's in the. What is it? Is it the second Indiana Jones movie? I think they go to. Is it India? There's
one of them, yeah.
Yeah, and the stuff that happens in that movie was them, having fun and parodying the old adventure serials from the 40s when they would go to exotic countries and they would totally exaggerate the culture. The monkey brain scene.
Yeah,
which you would never even though they were just making recreating how goofy the old movie serials were from like the 30s and 40s. You can never get that scene today in a movie. Because it was pretty, like it has I mean, don't get me wrong, I still love Indiana Jones. I love those movies. Grew up watching those movies. I'll still watch them when I'm like 80. But yeah.
The best one was the one with Shia LaBeouf.
Oh my God, bro. I was like, I guess this episode ain't going out.
I'm a huge fan of The Phantom Menace, too. Just so you know.
All right.
Jar Jar Binks is my favorite character.
Oh, God. I'm bleeding from the ears. Oh, God. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #3.
Right there.
All right. Thank you for joining us today. No, I'm just kidding. No, but all serious, Brian, thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Fun. You got some good stories, man. I really liked them. If you guys like Brian's stories, let me know down in the comments. Do you have similar stories that you'd like to share? Please share them down in the comments. I want this to be more of a dialogue. Everyone's got stories to share from when they've been at work. I, of course, shared a few today. Please share some of yours down in the comments. And please feel free to subscribe or follow depending on where you're tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it. But this has been another episode of The Patronarchy. Take it easy.